I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Support our movement. Join our cause. Stop by the Douglas Ducote Patriot Shop to get your official Team Ducote apparel and gear.
Hello, American Patriots. Douglas Ducote here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show, where today we're going to talk about our future. I know that many of you have been watching the news and you're thinking to yourself, and I know you're thinking this because I get the messages all the time, what are we going to do now? It's like gloom and doom. Everything's fallen in. Nothing's happening the way it should be. People aren't being arrested in the deep state. The swamp's getting bigger. And look, I feel you. All right. I understand that. I get the exact same feeling, my friends. Trust me. But something that I learned a long, long time ago, and that is you have one of two options. You either continue to fight and refuse to roll over and submit, or you throw your hands up and say, fuck it, I'm done with this. Doesn't matter. And then you will really watch your country go to shit in a handbasket if you do that. All right? That's not what we're going to do. And if you plan to continue to be a part of Team Ducote, which I hope you do, as we move forward and we get closer to the election, I will have things that I will be calling on you to help me do. All right? This is a collective effort. This is something that we're doing together. You have to understand that what the left and the Democrats want to happen right now is for you to watch the news and be depressed, and for you to realize and think to yourself that nothing we do is going to matter. Okay? Folks, it's not over with until physically it's over with. And when that time comes, it doesn't matter, because that means it's the end of civilization, not just Republicans and conservatives and American patriots. And I refuse to sit back and allow these Tide Pod eating fools to rule me or you or anyone else. We continue to fight them. And we continue to do so by sending out letters, emails, going after them on social media, going after them in this type format, and letting them know that, look, I at least 3 or 4 times a week, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I respond to a lot of these horrible people that appear to be taking over the country in certain areas. And I say to them the same thing. If you would just read the comments to your tweets, you'd realize that you are a hated individual in the United States of America. I do that very often to AOC, to Alihan Omar, to Talib Rashid, or Rashid Talib, or whatever the hell her freaking name is, all right? And to all these people on the left, and I encourage you to do it if you're on Twitter. Just go take the time when they tweet something out and read the comments, and you will see that for every person that says, I support you, Alihan Omar, and you were sent from Allah and we love you and we worship you, there's 500 people going, get the hell out of my country, you freaking Muslim terrorist. All right? That's what reality is. Okay? Now, if you think for one moment they don't get that or don't know that, then they're pulling smoke and mirrors over your eyes, because they do. They realize, they understand, they have people that tell them what's going on. Now, what's got most people very upset right now, as it does me, is what's happening with our justice system. I get that. I understand that more than you will ever possibly imagine as being, besides military, a veteran law enforcement officer. When I was in law enforcement, it was very, very hard to accept when we would make an arrest of a very bad person that did horrible things to another person, or maybe it was running drugs, heavy narcotics, things of that nature, and then watch some judge give him a slap on the wrist and let him back out the door again, or do absolutely nothing because maybe we made a mistake in writing the report. And we see that happening now on a national level at where the FBI and the Department of Justice. I know personally, and some of you do as well, know people that work for the FBI, the men and women that are out there on the front lines, the ground level, that are busting their ass to try and do the right thing, tuning in to CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and watching this just debacle that's taken place with James Comey and worrying about what's going to happen next with the other peons that were under him. If they didn't take him down, why the hell are they going to take down the rest of them? They had the opportunity, the case was given to them to do the right thing, and they chose not to. Now, there's more to that than just making that decision. There are other things that are in the pipeline that not everybody knows about that's going to have James Comey's name on it that could, possibly will be a stronger case that they can't look away from, especially after the literally millions of you that have reached out to the Department of Justice, and I thank you for doing that, and said, bullshit. Why are you allowing this to happen? We watched him come out. This is way before the current situation, before he was fired. We watched him come on national television and do something that wasn't his job, which is tell you all the crimes that Hillary Clinton committed and then say, we're not going to prosecute because of we cannot get somebody to basically take us, which was all bullshit. It was a cover up for the Clintons. He let her off the hook. Wasn't his job. It was supposed to be the Department of Justice that did that, but it's a catch-22. Loretta Lynch ran the Department of Justice, who was doing what? Just meeting with the husband of the person under investigation in a tarmac in an airplane. Okay, Loretta Lynch is meeting with Bill Clinton. The corruption was unspeakable. And this ridiculous, disgraceful law enforcement officer allowed her to walk. And now we find out as the Barr investigation is going forward, and we've got Horowitz coming out with his reports, just what a clusterfuck this was. This was hands down going to be the most corrupt piece of work that's ever happened in American law enforcement history. James Comey will forever be known by the majority of Americans and in the history books as a piece of low-life shit. Okay? That's what this guy is. And a pompous ass and everything else you can possibly call him for. But there are other things bigger that are still being investigated and still being looked at that has his name attached to it. And the biggest of them all is the FISA warrant situation looking into Trump. This guy had to sign off on that. Are they not going forward and not choosing to prosecute him right now because this other stuff's still in the works? That's a good possibility. That's what myself and others that are in law enforcement that I've talked to, and even some that work for the FBI, are saying, look, it's not over with. Hold on. There's more to come. They can only take it step by step. They know what the other crimes are going to be. We know when that report comes out how damn it's going to be. The same thing with all the rest of them. Will the swamp be cleaned up? I have to believe in my heart, in my faith, that we cannot allow the Justice Department to be turned into a laughing stock of America's criminal justice system. And right now, I get it. I understand your pain. That's where it's at. I know. We're all going, even me, what the hell? Because we want to see action, and we want to see action now. We want to see action yesterday. And it's not just with those group of people. When we look at what's happening with the justice system all over America, we look at some guy gets busted with a bag of weed, and because of a three-strike law, because, he had also robbed a convenience store 2 years ago on his own probation, and he robbed the convenience store of a bag of fucking chips, he gets a life sentence. And yet we see Jussie Smollett commit a fake hate crime, and all the evidence to prove that this guy should be put away for the remainder of his life, and a DA dropped the charges. And we sit back and go, what the fuck? Can I go out and do anything? Can I go out and, let's just go rob banks now. Okay, let's just go lawless. Because that's the picture they're painting right now. Well, we can't do that because, number one, it's morally wrong. And those of us that understand that aren't those type people. We're the ones that follow the law. Now, I do believe the system is being cleaned up. I do believe that bitch that was in charge of the DA situation with Smollett has her day coming, all right? We already know that Smollett's being looked at again, and they're going to probably start all over again with this piece of crap, all right? Which they should. And it's just not him. Anyone that does that, whether they're a member of the KKK or white supremacy or Black Panthers or Black Lives Matter, I don't give a shit, okay? It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter your background. Doesn't matter your religion. If you are a hateful person doing mean, despicable things, then our justice system should treat you the same at any level, whether it's the FBI doing it and Department of Justice making a decision, or at your local level DA and local police department making a decision. Money and fame should not play a part in justice. Lady Justice wears a blindfold for a reason. And right now, sadly, we're seeing that blindfold not being there. Okay? That's the freaking truth. I'm not going to candy coat this shit for you, but what I'm going to say is our voices matter. The louder we get together, the stronger the message will get out there, and let them know we see what you're doing. We're watching what you're doing. Hell, we can't help but see it. You're doing it in broad daylight, for crying out loud. You're not even trying to hide it. We hold them accountable at elections. We hold them accountable on social media. Okay? We go after them that way. We have to, because surrendering is not a freaking option. It's just not. I have been in so many situations in my life that where literally I thought, that's it. There's nothing else I can do. It's over. You know, I'm about to die any second now. And I fought through it. And God dang it, I'm gonna go down fighting. And because I didn't give up, and because I didn't surrender, I'm still here today. This is no different. We are faced with a totally different type of enemy, just like what happened after 9/11. You know, in the past, America has fought wars with people that we knew who they were because of the uniform they wore. They wore the same uniform from their country's military. We knew who we were fighting. And as time went on, Then we started fighting an ideology. We didn't know who the hell they were. Just as they all worshiped the same book, the Quran. Some of them interpreted it different and became radicalized. And now we're fighting all over the place, even right here in America. All right. The other thing that people are very upset about, and I get this, I know, I get all your messages, we read your messages, we try and respond to as many of them as we possibly can, is this situation with Ilhan Omar. All right. Nobody gets that better than I do. Out of my 4 combat tours, 2 of them were fighting in the Middle East against radical Islam. Here is a person that America, our country, rescued her family and brought them here to America from a refugee camp. And this bitch becomes a member of Congress and shows absolutely no gratification whatsoever for what we did for her, and trashes our military, our law enforcement, our veterans, our president, everything we stand for. And then who she surrounded herself with. How many of you know, if you haven't seen the video I did on Keith Ellison, go check that out. That was a while back. She met with that son of a bitch yesterday, or today it was, I think, and posted that on Twitter. I'm glad to be with Keith Ellison, to talk about, whatever they talked about. And I'm thinking, really? And I tweeted back, why don't you ask him about when he beat his girlfriend? Because under Sharia law, he can do that. He beat that woman in front of her kids. There's video of it. There's audio of it. And that son of a bitch hasn't been touched. Why? Because he's a Muslim. And we don't think it's politically correct to go after them. So we let them have more leniency and get away with more things. We're watching the fact that, hell, looks like she was married to her brother, looks like she was married to some person while she was still married to another person. It seems now she was having an affair with one of the staff members that was married, filing income taxes against, things that weren't true. I mean, there's so much shit that has come out about this one woman that would put any of us in prison. Hands down, we would go to jail. And somehow she's still out there. Now, are there investigations going into her actions? Yes, there are. What are they waiting on? I don't know. Is it frustrating? You bet it is. My faith in God tells me it's going to be taken care of. Okay? Because without faith, I have nothing else. Without faith, I'll be the one out there making the decisions for what she does. And then I'll go to prison or be executed for my actions. Okay? So I have to rely on my faith to not do the wrong thing and do something stupid. What will happen in 2020 if President Trump does not get reelected? And I believe he will in a landslide. But what if he doesn't? All this talk about civil war, all this talk about our country being us in the streets fighting another war against each other. It's not black against white when I say civil war. It's conservatives against liberals. Well, guess what, folks? That fight's already happening, especially on the West Coast, in Oregon, in Washington State, in California, with Antifa. And we see law enforcement being given orders to stand down and not get involved and not do anything about it. Okay? It's already starting. What do you think's going to happen if Trump doesn't get elected in 2020? It's going to be all out chaos in more ways than I can possibly ever explain to you. The most highly trained people in the world wading into shadows that don't want to do what their oath that didn't expire says is America's veteran law enforcement military that took an oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we're watching domestic terrorists terrorize innocent men and women in the streets. And if our president doesn't get reelected in 2020, I'll be leading the charge, my friends. I'll be damned if I'm going to sit back and watch these little fuckers out there on the West Coast take that shit to the Midwest or take it anywhere else. There's a reason why they're not anywhere else right now. There's a reason. Because they wouldn't last the freaking hour. We would physically give them back what they're giving to those people on the West Coast. But we get a Democrat in office, especially any of these that are running right now to be the next president on the Democrat Party, these socialist freaks become the next president, and we know that our country goes to shit in a handbasket overnight, and Antifa becomes the next pride for them. These guys on the left the members, those that are running for president right now, won't even call out Antifa and say they're what they are. They just laugh it off like it's just a few punk kids. No, it's not. It's a major organization being funded. Probably, my guess is George Soros. Because these young punk kids are able to, like that, show up anywhere overnight in the hundreds, and in some cases the thousands, and just take over. You know, here's somebody plans for weeks at a time or months at a time to have some type of a conservative rally or even a freaking public prayer meeting, and gets the license to do it in a particular area of the county. And these Tide Pod eaters show up and interrupt it with bats and mace and horrible things. So if Trump loses in 2020, that's going to become rapid. And that's when, I'll be honest, I'm willing to do whatever it takes as an American patriot, as somebody that swore to defend this country, to go after those domestic terrorists. I might go to prison. I might be sentenced to death for it. I don't know. But guess what? Back when we had to fight the British, and back when, many other things during that time took place, the people that we look at today as patriots were looked at then as terrorists. And that's how we would be looked at. I mean, think about it. When Antifa is conducting their operations in the streets of Portland, Oregon, with baseball bats and pepper spray and chemicals with concrete made up in them, physically hurting and damn near killing people, if one of those people happens to be a conservative and has a gun on them with a concealed carry permit and pulls it out to defend themselves, what do you think's going to happen to that guy or girl who's legally authorized to defend themselves against death? You think for 1 second those fucks out there in Oregon or Washington State or California are going to not go after this person as the bad guy because he took action or she took action? Now, in the rest of the country, it wouldn't happen that way. If I'm outside cutting my grass and some liberal freak comes over and starts throwing shit at me, a brick, and I'll pull out my gun and shoot him or her, guess what? Here in the South, it's totally justified. And it would be out there too, except we have an ideology that's been consumed and taken over by a group of liberal freaks that it's not okay and that you can't fight violence with violence. They teach our kids that if you get bullied in school, if you fight back, you're going to get suspended too. But yet they don't do shit to the bully. It's nuts. It's we have set ourselves up in a place that's not good. All right. So what do? We keep moving forward and we keep exposing it and we keep fighting it. And you have to trust that it's gonna work out in our favor, and it will. Okay. No matter what happens tonight, I can damn near guarantee you tomorrow morning the sun's gonna rise again. And we're going to start all over again with another day of chaos and crap. And because of social media and because of the internet, you know about it instantly when it happens. where years ago, the same shit was happening, folks. The same stuff, except you didn't know about it right away. You might not know about it for weeks. In some cases, the story will be dropped before it ever got to your hometown because everything was, hell, there was no email. You wrote a freaking letter, and you put a stamp on it, and you sent it in the mail. And 5 or 6 days later, your relative gets it. They might write you back, and you've died since then, and they don't even know about it. Today, something happens, it's instantaneously in your face. Right here, constantly. I just got another tweet popped up. Alejandro March saying some other stupid, ridiculous shit. All right? Breaking news constantly. But it's not changed from what it was like 30 years ago. It's the same crap over and over again. If you look at the trending, if you look at the history of violence and what's been documented by the FBI, by the Department of Justice, nothing's really changed. We still have people going out murdering good people. We still have gang violence. We still have corrupt politicians. We used to have, instead of Antifa, we had the mob that was run all over the country. You either pay them or do what we tell you to do, or they kill you. It's the same shit, my friends, except today we know about it right then and there when it happens. And chances are somebody immediately pulled out a phone, videotaped it, and immediately sent it where? Straight to Twitter, straight to Facebook, straight to YouTube. And within 30 seconds of the incident happening, the world knows it took place. That's the only difference. So if we would have gave up 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50, 60, 70, hell, let's just go back to 1776. If at any time we would have gave up, where would we be today? After, when Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese, America's military was shit. We had nothing to combat that. They had built up this gigantic Navy, this gigantic Air Force system. We had absolutely shit. The only good thing we had in our favor at that time were some aircraft carriers, and we didn't have them in Pearl Harbor because everything else there just about got annihilated. We had to build up the country again and build up ammunition and build up tanks and build planes, and people were volunteering to go in and do that so we could fight this evil empire. And it took time. We didn't defeat them overnight. And then on top of that, I'll be damned if we don't get drug into the thing with Germany. And then we're fighting 2 wars. What's the difference? Americans didn't stop. We didn't give up. We kept fighting until the other side gave up. We kept building our strengths. We kept building our empire of domination, of battleships and airplanes. And the major difference then, which is still the major difference now, what's the difference between those that we fought back then and those we're fighting right now? They believed that in order to get to heaven, they need to die on the battlefield. Guess what? The American soldier doesn't think that way. We're fighting for those back home. We're fighting for our family and our children. We want to go back home to our family and children. We don't want to die out there. Can it happen? Yes. Did we sign up and know that it can happen? Of course. We don't want to die, but we knew when we raised our hand and swore that oath that there's a good possibility we're going to end up in a combat situation, and it's a possibility you're going to die. But the difference is that person on the other side doesn't care. And guess what? Right here in America, we're getting that same type of ideology happening with these Antifa people and with Muslims that have come over here that are disguising themselves as good people. And there's arrests taking place every day that doesn't even make the news. because it's being squashed. Okay? Every now and then, the FBI or the Department of Justice will let something slip out. I mean, how many people know that right now, currently in America, there's over 50 different organizations of Muslims that are being looked at as possibly training grounds for domestic Muslim terrorism to perform jihad. And often arrests are made and people are taken down. Of course, that's happening in all kinds of other things too. There's dumbass white people doing stupid shit. There's dumbass black people doing stupid shit. And Hispanic people, all right? There's this whole problem we got going on with the black on black crime all across our nation that, the left doesn't give a shit about. The Democrats don't even talk about. Hell, who's talking about black on black crime in America right now? Think about this for a moment. Where do you hear that subject brought up constantly? One of probably the biggest, the most deaths in America, period, are black on black crime. Black youth shooting other black youth every freaking night in every major metropolitan city across America. And who is bringing that story to you? Do you hear Fox News doing it? Nope. CNN, MSNBC, any ABC, CBS, NBC, anybody on YouTube doing it? I don't see it. Doug Ducote's doing it. That's who's doing it. I'm bringing it out there, and I'm telling you for what it is, because other people want to hide that. I don't know what their problem is against black people, okay? Maybe they're racist deep down inside. Beats the shit out of me. All I know is human beings are killing human beings, and it's an epidemic of young black youth that, maybe it's because of, they come from, they didn't have a dad to raise them, or they don't know who their dad is, or they were brought up in poverty and they had just had to fight to survive, joining gangs. There's a million different reasons of what you can blame this on, all right? Bottom line is, why is it being addressed? Why isn't anybody out there talking about it? Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. Hell, 40-something people were shot in Chicago this past weekend, and 20 died. They were all black youth between the ages of 16 and 18 years old. It's worse than Afghanistan is with our soldiers. And by the way, another one of those died last night. Did you hear about that on the news? Fuck no. They don't cover the shit that matters anymore. I do. Why? Because I'm not politically correct. And I'm not going to bend to these that say, well, you have to do this. You can't do this. This is how it's got to be. No, fuck that. It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you what the facts are. If you don't like the facts, don't listen to me. Turn the freaking channel. But I'm not going to candy coat this shit. There's a problem in America. The swamp, people we elected into Congress that hate America, people we rescued from fucking Somalia that says that all those involved in the movie, watch the movie Black Hawk Down. She says that our soldiers are freaking terrorists that destroyed her country. And she's a fucking member of Congress. Give me a goddamn break. How did the Republican Party not rise up that day and go grab her by her fucking head and pull her out and say, you're done. Go home, wherever your home happens to be? Hell no. They didn't do shit. They sit back and let her do it. We have this gang violence. We have MS-13 coming across the border, organizing and going after and attacking and killing people every freaking night. Americans, young girls, young boys. Who the fuck's talking about that? I've done a bunch of videos on it. Why is anybody else talking about that? Why don't we demand that if not, well, CNN and MSNBC don't give a shit. They won't listen to you. But if everybody contacted Fox News and said, do a freaking story on black crime in Chicago or Memphis or New Orleans or Baton Rouge or Philadelphia, Chicago or Oakland, all these places where they're being killed by the hundreds every freaking night. Nope, Don't hear about it. Well, what will you hear about on CNN and MSNBC and from these Democrats? White nationalists are the biggest problem in America. Oh, it's the white guy. It's the white man. That's our biggest problem. Are you fucking kidding me? No, it isn't the white man. Was it the white man years ago doing horrible things to the black man? Yes, it sure as fuck was. And then what do, Democrats and liberals? Then you go around and you start taking down statues and monuments all over the South that would remind people of that tragedy because you want to erase history. What happens when you erase history? It gets fucking repeated. That's a common knowledge thing. So we don't give up. We don't surrender. We can't. I'm not going to do it. I will fail not only myself, but I will fail my children, my wife, everybody in my family, all my brothers and sisters that died fighting horrible, bad people, whether it was in law enforcement or whether it was in the military. No, I'm not going to give up. And you're not going to give up either. Of course, if you do, there's nothing I can do to stop you. There's times when, I guess I could say I don't blame you. But guess what? Then you're weak. And I have to surround myself with people that are fighters, people that believe in our Constitution, people that believe in what our founding fathers stood for, people that believe in our Bill of Rights, people that believe that, yeah, there are bad apples in law enforcement. We need to do something to weed their ass out. But that doesn't make every cop a bad guy or first responder. There's bad people in the freaking military, especially these days. They're being let in and waivers signed to get them through and get them in because they can't make quotas to get people in our military that are bad freaking people. And our military doesn't have a choice. Fuck it. Bring back the draft. That's what I say. Make them all go back through it. Hell, make a man out of them for crying out loud, or a woman for that matter. I'm not opposed to that. The military made me a fucking man. Okay? I was a teenage punk doing all kinds of stupid shit growing up. Trust me, I got a book coming out. You'll be able to read some of it. All right? But the bottom line is, it made me a man. It taught me about values and commitments and morals, responsibilities. Our youth don't get that today. They're like a bunch of freaking sheep led by other sheep that actually are wolves in sheep clothing right off a freaking cliff if they tell them to do that. And it goes back to some of the things I've said in the past about our education, about how we allowed liberals to infiltrate all over our education system, from K through 12 to our college systems, liberal professors. And I've done videos about that too. Why isn't this shit being brought to you with the same passion that I have? I don't know. Other than it's not politically correct. Well, guess what? One of the biggest reasons we voted for Donald Trump wasn't because we like some of the shit he said or we like his tweets. No, it's because he didn't have a problem calling you an asshole if you called him an asshole. That's it. He didn't have a problem going, no, well, fuck me, fuck you. That's what Donald Trump does. That's what a lot of people want to do, and they don't do it because they lose their job or they feel like their neighbor's not going to respect them anymore. And for years, we've had presidents, Republican presidents, that just bowed down or didn't even address Nancy Pelosi and these Democrats, Kennedy when he was still alive in Congress, slamming him and saying horrible things about him and mean things, which has been going on for many, many years. And the Republicans saying, oh, we're better than that. We're just not going to address it. And the American people sitting back going, fuck that fight. Let them know they're wrong. And we finally get somebody that does that. And oh my God, can you believe what he said? Well, yeah, why don't you report why he said it? What was said to him first, or about his wife or his children? Yeah, he said it. Why? Because he's an alpha male and he's not afraid to tell you to go fuck yourself. That's what we needed. That's the kind of person I am, which is why you don't see me on Sean Hannity's program, all right? Because they're afraid what I might say. That's the biggest problem with America today, is we're all afraid of offending somebody. Tonight, just tonight, I was out at dinner with me and my wife and another couple. We're having a wonderful dinner. We're out at an Outback Steakhouse. All right, I like their bloomin' onion. Their steaks are great. You know, it's not that expensive, and they're asking me questions about all this stuff with DouglasDucote.com and the store we have up and the things we're selling. You know, and so I'm getting into this and I'm getting passionate about it, and we're having this conversation back and forth, me and this other couple, and some of it got to passionate things where I'm talking about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've got my wife tapping me saying, you know, lower your voice a little bit. And his wife's tapping him because he's as passionate as I am about things happening in politics, you know. And we both kind of, you know, without being disrespectful, said, we don't give a shit what these people think sitting next to us or in the booth behind us. I don't fucking care. Because I'm telling you the facts. If you don't want to hear the facts, you're the damn problem. Period. Ask the waiter to move your ass. I've done that before. I've walked into restaurants and sat down and to enjoy a nice dinner and then have a table with a bunch of freaking freaks come in and sit next to me. I don't want to listen to their shit, and get the waiter to come move us somewhere else. What's wrong with doing that? Oh, no, we're going to be offended. Fuck your feelings. You don't care about mine? Why should I care about theirs? And there's not enough people willing to say that. Sadly, I understand why in a lot of cases, because you'll be fired. You'll lose your job. You'll be shamed on social media. Because I'm retired now, I don't know. I was pretty passionate when I wasn't retired. I got in a lot of trouble for saying a lot of things. Believe me, all right? In the military and in law enforcement, all right? I've been hauled in front of my sheriff before and told, you're not going to do what you did again. What you said isn't right, okay? And in the military as well. You know, I've had commanders pull me in and go, you know, do you want to lose all your fucking rank? Do you want to be demoted back down to private? You want to be freaking cutting grass for the remainder of your time here? You know, or you want to be flying on these helicopters? Make up your freaking mind. All right. It didn't change. I've always been a very outspoken person. I've always spoke my mind. And I've always been the first one to go, that's bullshit. All right. Oh, did I say that out loud? Oh, there goes Doug again without his filter. Same shit happens now, except what's the difference? I'm not accountable to anybody except God. Just had a recent conversation about the things I say sometimes when I get passionate and a foul word comes out every now and then. Well, I can only hope, and I ask God for forgiveness when I do that. I know that God knows what I've been through in my life and what I've experienced. And with most veterans, whether it's veterans of law enforcement or military, and in my case, both, you can't help but every now and then when you get passionate to say a word that somebody else typically wouldn't say in a conversation. It's managed to work for me so far. I'm still here. I will continue to keep pushing out my message. I will continue to be expressing what I think we need to do. But guess what? You're never going to hear from me. You're never, ever going to see me come on and look in this camera and go, fuck it. There's nothing else we can do. Stick a fork in it. We're done. Let them fucking destroy us. Nope. It's not my DNA. It's not in the deaths of my brothers and sisters that fought for our rights. And I'll be the first person to go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and act like a fucking idiot outside that White House if Cory Booker ever became president with his, if I get in, I will change the Constitution and rewrite it. No, fuck you, you won't. Nor will hopefully anybody vote for you. Which brings me to my final thing, is that we've got to organize Republicans to go freaking vote, folks. We've got to be able to get people out there, and we got a very short period of time to do it in. The Democrats have it down like a science. They're able to get people to go to the polls, even lie about it, bust them in from other areas. Why do you think they don't want voter ID? Why do you think they want open borders? Okay, it's for votes. That's all it is. And guess what they're actually doing right now? As I speak, the Democrats, the DNC is so under budget where they should be right now compared to how they've been in the history of the DNC, that they're actually sending people down to Mexico and Central and South America to give rallies and speeches for the Democrat Party to raise money. How many of you knew that? They're running commercials down there. Get me in, get so-and-so in. They're a Democrat. We need your money to help us get in so that you can be welcome to America and not be treated like these horrible Republicans are treating you at the border. That's right. They're down there in Central and South America and Mexico collecting money for 2020 because it's not happening. I mean, it's like I forgot the exact number, and I'm not going to tell it to you right now because it's not, I don't have it directly in my head to tell you the exact truth. But it's like, I mean, we're like quadrupled what they're doing on the Republican side. But that's fine. Guess what? Hillary Clinton raised more money than any freaking Democrat had ever done, and she didn't get elected. But she won the popular vote. We won the Electoral College, which they want to do away with. But as long as we have the people go out and we bring them to the polls, we get the vote out there, we get early voting out there, we do whatever it takes to get Trump back in office in 2020, we can fix a lot of shit over the next 4 years that we couldn't get to in this 4 years because 8 years of Obama just screwed it beyond belief. There's no way in hell for this guy to fix this shit in 4 years. And if he doesn't have 4 more years, I can't even imagine what's going to happen with America. And then what's going to happen with those of us that are refusing to sit back and allow our country to be destroyed right in front of our face. You have to find passion. You have to find it in your heart and in your soul to keep fighting, to keep moving forward, even if it's just one day at a time, even if it's just one freaking hour at a time. Get your ass up, put your boots on, and do one thing that day that's patriotic, whether it's putting a flag out in front of your house or it's volunteering to make calls or hand out flyers for Republican leaders in your area or to support the Trump campaign. I don't care if you only got $2 that you can donate. Do it. Try it. It won't hurt. I can assure you that. And without everybody coming together, it's not going to happen. Do you ever hear anyone on the left or the Democrats go, fuck it, we're done. Done what we can do now. Damn, they got the House, They got the Senate. They got 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We're fucked. No, did they do that? Hell no, they didn't do it. What'd they do? They got ready for the midterms. And they fought and they fought and they fought and they fought. They fought harder than they've ever fought in their entire history. And they won the freaking House back because we didn't do shit about it. The Republicans just sat back and went, ha ha, we got it all under control now. Shocked us, didn't they? Turned this into a freaking nightmare. Nancy Pelosi back as the Speaker of the House again. Are you freaking kidding me? And then who do we pick for leaders? I can't even mention his name anymore. I look at him and I see like George Washington. He's so freaking old. Nothing against that because I'm going to be that old too one day. But when I'm that old, don't put me out speaking for any fucking. Don't put me out there to be in charge of shit because I'm going to be saying and mumbling horrible freaking dumbass shit that doesn't make any sense and shitting and pissing in my freaking pull-up. Okay? Don't put me out there. But why the hell have we got him out there? What does he do? Does he have passion? Does he have a fire lit under his ass? Hell no, he doesn't. Before that, who did we have? That little punk down in Florida. Really? We put a freaking liberal disguised as a Republican to run the House or to be the Speaker of the House. We saw how that got us. No. Put somebody in there that has passion, that has fire, that has experience doing something. Hell, pick a vet. And you know what? Here's another thing. When you pick a vet to do something or to run something, think about this for a moment. Look at the history of every presidential administration and how many veterans were elected and brought on board, even as members of Congress. And look at what they were in the military. Chances are it's about 99% they were a commissioned officer, lieutenant all the way up to general. They weren't a non-commissioned officer. Non-commissioned officer is the sergeant ranks from E5 sergeant up to command sergeant major. Now, I don't have anything against officers. We have commissioned officers and non-commissioned officers in the military. Guess what you can't do? If the non-commissioned officers quit, the officers can't run shit. But if you reversed it and the commissioned officers quit, the non-commissioned officers will still get the fucking job done because that's what we do. They sit in the air-conditioned office and come up with these stupid-ass plans on how we should do shit and pass it down to the sergeants who make it happen. I say, you want somebody in charge of the freaking Pentagon? Pick somebody that was a fucking E7 or a first sergeant or E9, a staff sergeant. Hell, pick an E5 for that matter. Somebody that's actually been out there doing the freaking work, not some pencil pusher that worked at the fucking Pentagon. But no, the person that runs the VA is going to be somebody that was a colonel in the freaking military. You know, the Secretary of Defense was going to be somebody who was a lieutenant or a colonel or a general. And all these positions, they go pick the commissioned officer. Fuck, you just soon pick a politician because that's kind of what they are in the military. And hey, I love my commissioned officers. Don't get me wrong. All right. I've had some great ones. I've had some that I would follow to my death. And I did and survived. But the backbone of the military is the non-commissioned officer. That's just fact. So why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we putting those people in those positions? Beats the shit out of me. Why? Because we want to keep everything running the way it normally runs in Washington, D.C., the swamp, running like shit. Look back at some of the conflicts that we've been involved with. Look back at Vietnam. Who the fuck was running that? A bunch of people that were colonels and generals in the military that now became veterans, and there's civilians in administration making dumbass decisions. And eventually we pulled out, and people died for what? We left and pulled out of there, and the North rolled over the South. It was one of the worst scenarios that ever happened to American history. My dad fought in Vietnam. I know many people that fought in Vietnam. They were like, at the time, we're like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we doing bombing raids in broad daylight when they can see us and shoot us down? Why did it take years to come up with the decision, oh, maybe we should do that at night? Same thing was happening during World War II. We're sending out 500 bombers to hit one chemical plant because we're only getting back 400 of them. You're doing it at fucking 12 noon. I mean, it was decisions like that, and that's just a small example of where people went, this is nuts. Did the same thing in Iraq. We're doing the same thing in Afghanistan, where we're telling them when we're going to pull out. We're telling them, you know, we're done with this or we're done with that. A lot of people died and were injured and maimed for life for these countries that don't give a shit. And the people that ran it and made the dumbass decisions used to be commissioned officers. I've joked about it many times. Pick me to be the fucking Secretary of Defense, Trump. I'll fix some shit real quick. Just implement my plan, and we will be respected again, just like we were when we dropped the fucking 2 bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Because that's how you fucking win shit. You go on a massive fucking firepower and you pound the shit out of it. And then the rest of the countries go, fuck that. I'm not playing with those people. Oh my God. We don't do that anymore. That generation were the alpha males. That generation didn't give a shit. If you're going to attack us, we're going to take you out. Ever since then, political correctness got involved. You can't kill millions of people with a nuclear bomb. Oh my God. You know, guess what? We saved millions of American lives because they weren't giving up any other way, my friends. History has proven that. And then here we are, still fighting in the Middle East. That shit could have been done and over with just like that. Nope. We ain't killed enough American troops yet. That's part of the problem. But we don't give up. We don't quit. We still have, thankfully, men and women that are willing to stand up and go, I want to serve my country. Yes, lots of it's for college or because they got nowhere else to go, sadly. But they're going to get an education and they're going to get an experience like they would never receive otherwise. And hopefully it's for the best. And hopefully they will take that experience and share it with the rest of the world and the rest of society to help us be better people, to help us understand what this whole thing is about. You know, I've said this before, I say it again. We can't stay here. We cannot stay here. Sadly, to leave, we have to die. Do I want to die submitting to politicians or another fucking country? Hell no. I'd rather die on my feet fighting to my last breath, whether it's in a VA hospital, I'm 89 years old, or it's marching on Washington, D.C. at a rally, taken out by some freaking Tide Pod eater, Antifa. No, I will keep fighting. I will keep bringing you the truth. I will keep doing everything I possibly can in my heart, in my soul, to bring to you what I need and want brought to me and my family. If you haven't already done so, please go sign up over at my website, douglasducote.com. Social media is cracking down on me, just like they are all conservatives that speak out like I do. And there you can put in your email address and you'll be notified when videos are out. And even if YouTube shuts me down one day, which I project will happen, you will still be able to see me putting the word out there and still be able to be a part of this movement we're doing. And it's not just the 2020, it's the 2020 and beyond. We're looking at the long range plan here, which is what sadly too many people in politics refuse to do. They look at short-term fixes, whether it's our budget or it's fighting in a military conflict. No, the non-commissioned officer academies that I went to, both of them for primary and leadership, taught me to look at the long-term goal. Project out what's going to happen if you make this action today. How will it affect 20 years from now? That's what I'm trying to teach people. And we can't do it separately. We can do it together. So you just go there. It's free. You put in your email and we send you messages. Besides that, you're going to get content at douglasducote.com that you're not going to get on YouTube. I can't do it on Twitter or Facebook because they shut me down and ban me for 30 days when I do. But you can always find me there. We now have the Patriot Shop up and operating. You can go there and you can buy Patriot gear. Please check it out. That helps us continue this message and helps us do the things that we have planned in the very, very near future. There's all types of really cool shit about to go down. Trust me, as we move forward and we expose things that nobody else is willing to do. And that, I promise you, is going to happen really, really soon. And you're either going to know about it firsthand because you signed up at douglasducote.com and you got the message, or you turned on Fox News one day or CNN and, hey, I remember that son of a bitch. That was that guy on YouTube that was screaming and hollering, whoa, look what he just showed you that nobody knew about. Yeah, I'm about ready to do some major exposing of corruption and things that need to freaking stop and things that need to be corrected. I want to thank my producer, Dustin Gold, for everything he is doing to help make this project, this grassroots movement, become a reality. The guy works his ass off doing this 24/7, Douglas Ducote. That's what he does. And how his wife puts up with it, I don't know. I met her. She's a wonderful, great lady. I think possibly late at night when he's asleep, knocks him upside the head or something with a shoe. I'm not sure. But I do know when he wakes up, he kind of has a headache. So.
Yes, all the time. But from listening to your rants. No, I just want to tell everyone, because there was a lot of people that were asking when we're going down to the border. So the plan right now that we put it together is it's going to be we're actually going to do the investigation over the course of about 20 days on the ground. We'll have a few days before and after planning and then decompressing in January, because the weather actually is decent down on the border during January. The days are 60 to 70 instead of 100. So we've been having planning meetings. We are talking to some independent sponsors interested in putting this together, and we're going to go down there and look, good, bad, or ugly, we're going to find the truth. Doug's got a lot of contacts on the border. We're in talks with, I don't want to say her name yet on the publicly, but we're in talks with some people that you'll know their names that want to help with this project. And the idea is to go down there, do a lot of live streaming to show you firsthand, uncut look at this border situation, and then we're going to count, how many miles of slats, how much mile of roadblocks. I mean, we need to know. This is important. The American people deserve to know. And because we're getting mixed signals out of CBD and ICE and left-wing media, right-wing media, White House, I mean, I follow all the reports, and I can't make sense of what's actually there. I know someone had mentioned a new site that launched. But yes, that's what we're hearing. There's been 80 miles of replacement. That's not close to the 450 that Trump has promised. So who really knows? The only way we're going to find out is if we go down there, and then Doug is going to be covering a lot of really important stuff that he touched on when he first went in April, that we've been talking about in planning meetings. We're going to hopefully figure out some of the cartel activity down there, a number of other things. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of people down there that are happy that we're there. But
well, that's one of the things that, I'll go ahead and mention right now. We have people in government positions that are opposed. They've found out what we're planning to do and are opposed to us going down there and telling us don't do it. Okay? When somebody tells me not to do something because I might be owned to something you're doing that's not up to speed, you bet your ass I will go towards the fire.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've got people that are telling us, stay the hell away. Stay in your lane. This ain't it.
Yep. We're putting, we've got a really good team we're putting together. Doug will be bringing on a co-host, American Joe, another Army veteran.
Yes.
We've got a camera crew that's going to be veterans. We're going to have security that are veterans. If any of you guys have any special skills, camera work, security, editing, any of that kind of stuff, because depending on how much we raise, we'll decide on how big this will be. Feel free to email. You can email me, Dustin at DouglasDucote.com, with your resume or what kind of skills you have. But it's going to be great. And right now, you could go to bordercommand.com. That site's being built out, but you could sign up with your email address. It'll go into the same system where you sign up with Doug, so it's all fully protected. No one controls this but us. There's not any outside forces, no corporate-owned nonsense involved with this. And the other thing is, yesterday, I just want to say before we go, when the whole James Comey stuff dropped, and I think you answered it all, Doug, but I see people even tonight going, I'm quitting. I said, look, here's the situation. I've been involved in active and grassroots politics since 2005. I'm somebody, we've had great days, and there's been horrible days. There's been Tea Party movements. That's dropped off. And here's the truth of the matter to everyone. It's just like, because nobody just tells you this. Either William Barr is going to indict people, or he's not. Either Donald Trump is going to single-handedly save America, or he's not. I mean, that's the reality. But do you quit and crawl under your bed and start? Could you imagine, if George Washington, instead of crossing the Delaware, decided to go home and cry under his bed? We have to keep marching forward regardless of Trump. In our media business and the stuff Doug talks about, a lot of what we talked about internally was, we need to get Trump elected in 2020. If you think the deep state, is winning now and we're not getting the wins we need, can you imagine what's going to happen when Kamala Harris or Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren are president? So you need Trump in 2020. That's your alternative, the only alternative. And for people who say votes don't matter, they've got it all rigged, well, let's pretend voting is like God, right? You have faith in God, and have faith in the voting. What does it take you? 5 minutes to go out and vote? So you can't give up your right just because you believe it's rigged. Because if it does matter, then you're in a lot of trouble if you and another million people in this country don't vote. Yeah. But you can't give up. And here's the whole thing. Whether we lose Trump in 2020 or we go all the way to 2024, you can't make your future dependent on Trump. We can't make the media business that we're going to be building with other truthsayers dependent on Trump. You can't make your life dependent on that. Life goes on. Donald Trump could fall down the stairs tomorrow and bang his head, and he's out of commission. And then you're going to say, it's it. Oh, the deep state, they won. And remember, if there are no indictments, and with all the veil being lifted over the last 3 years of treason and sedition and corruption and criminality, well, if the deep state thinks they're not going to indict these people and they're going to normalize all of that, well, you know what? Then it's time. Because remember, You know, and this is the kind of stuff you should be talking to your kids and grandkids about. This is what you could be doing instead of getting wrapped up in daily news, is teaching them the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. And in the Declaration, Thomas Jefferson, remember, and this is to them, if you think you're going to do this to us, I don't think the time is today, but it will come. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. It's all there in writing. They haven't put it through the paper shredder yet. So right now, what choice do we have but to allow this to play out over the next year, to vote for Donald Trump in 2020, and then we have to focus on, and this is content we'll be getting into a year from now when it matters, the beginning of starting to take back your Republican Party, your Republican committees at your local level, to put conservatives together and throw out the rhinos at the local level, throw out the Republicans that are willing to sell out to the Chamber of Commerce and to sell out to the lobbyists, and that's what you focus on from 2020 to 2024. You do it state by state, county by county, city by city, town by town, and with all the people that watch this and all the people out there watching whatever your drug of choice is on Fox News or listening to Mark Levin or Sean Hannity or Michael Savage, there are more of us than there are of them. You have to remember that. Yep. We outnumber these people, and that's where we're going. This isn't just media that we're building. We're going to be doing projects like the border investigation to bring attention back to the border. We have a project coming up that we're going to launch soon. You guys love that opening. I get hundreds of emails a week in Doug's video where it's a play on the oath that the military and the president and others take. We're going to be doing a video campaign with that. So you guys are going to be able to record and upload your videos to our site of you taking this oath. We call it the Citizens Pledge. And that's where you're saying that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States from enemies foreign, and especially domestic. And as someone who did not serve, I've always believed guys like Doug and guys like American Joe risk their lives to go overseas and protect us and our Constitution from enemies foreign. The least we could do is fight the battle to protect them from enemies domestic and not put the weight on their shoulders. So these are the kind of things we're going to be doing that goes above and beyond just sitting here and talking. And you got to be part of that team. And it's been amazing. A lot of you guys sign up for the emails. I see you respond. I try to get back to people. But literally, there's hundreds and hundreds of incoming messages a day. And if I see something that's super important, I forward it over to Doug. But know that we're listening, and know that we're going to be having a number of tools where we can start networking together. This is all part of a bigger plan. A bigger plan that's not funded by the Koch brothers or funded by Sheldon Adelson or funded by George Soros or any corporate sponsors. This is all fully 100% independent and funded by you and small independent family-owned businesses.
Yeah, and we can't, those of you that have taken the time and are able to donate to our cause, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because we can't do this without your help. And we appreciate every single thing, even if it's just, if all you can do is send a message and say, I'm praying for you and your cause, okay? Anything you can do helps us. I want to close with a couple of things. Number one, American Joe. If you're not on his channel yet, on his YouTube channel or his website, go check this guy out, okay? He's my brother. We both served in the Army together. We both served in Desert Storm together. We both were stationed at Fort Hood together, okay? Follow American Joe. Go sign up on his YouTube channel and his website. The other thing is my wife just launched her YouTube channel last night, all right? It's listed under Real Life with MD. MD standing for Marilyn Ducote. Real Life with MD, okay? She is a licensed professional counselor. She has many, many degrees all around helping people. Marriage counseling, divorce, child parent coordinating, DUIs, people that have been in trouble with the law, you name it. She's highly educated in that. And she's going to be putting out videos that are not just necessarily talking about that side of her life, but her life and how she has adapted and changed to help not only grow herself, but to grow this family and her support for God and able to reach and help. I mean, she's all about helping people. That's all she wants to do, is help other human beings. Okay. So go over there, sign up, support that channel. She even has a section she's going to do that's called What's Doug Done Now? All right, which is a funny thing about, something that she saw me do or say that she thought would be interesting for you guys to hear.
Wow, so she's going to base that on like the 30 texts a day she sends me going, what did Doug do now?
Right. I mean, we had with this hurricane coming into Florida, oh, please pray for those guys. It's going to be really bad. But before yesterday, it looked like it was going to continue into the Gulf of Mexico once it crosses Florida. Now it's going to turn up north. So maybe that's God's way of keeping me and Dustin alive, because the plan was we were going to leave Sunday or Monday and head down there to the Gulf Coast of Florida, and we were going to report live from the hurricane as it was coming in. Seriously, that was our plan. That's what we were going to do. And that was her thing last night. What's Doug done now? And and she talked about how he's my crazy husband, runs towards the gunfire, runs towards the bad guys. He's running towards a freaking hurricane. Right? Well, turns out, and maybe it's God intervening here, it's making a hard right. It's going to go straight up north. And we just don't have the time right now to go that far all the way to Florida, to that part of Florida at least. So we're not going to take that trip. Anyhow, as always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, their families, our first responders, our Blue and Gold Star families, and our angel moms, our president, and our country. Folks, I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. And I hope in some way, shape, or form, I was able to help you see that there is a bigger picture. There is a light at the end of every tunnel that we see closing. That light's there, and I'm going to help us get through it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this. God bless you all, and have a wonderful and blessed evening. I'm out.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Douglas Ducote Show.
Support our movement. Join our cause. Stop by the Douglas Ducote Patriot Shop to get your official Team Ducote apparel and gear.